What if the most powerful tool for transformation was not hidden in books, seminars, or endless strategies, but in the very hours you close your eyes at night? For 1/3 of your life, you sleep. Yet inside those silent hours lies the forgotten science of creation, the sacred door to reprogramming your subconscious, rewriting your memories, and awakening the infinite intelligence within you. This is not just about better rest. It is about redesigning your entire life while you dream. Tonight, you will discover how ancient wisdom, modern science, and your own sleeping mind converge to unlock the greatest power you already carry. Sleep, the forgotten creative tool. Human beings spend nearly 1/3 of their lives in sleep. Yet, most treat it as nothing more than biological rest, an empty pause between 2 days. Few realize that in those seemingly passive hours, a door opens, allowing the deepest intelligence within to work, to restructure, and to create a new world. Sleep is not merely for the restoration of the body. It is a sacred ritual where the subconscious receives the seeds of ideas and transforms them into reality. The ancients knew this well. They regarded the moment of falling asleep as a holy threshold where the human mind left behind the noise of reason and touched the creative current of the universe. They understood that whatever was planted in that moment would take root deep in the subconscious, and once rooted, it would find its way to expression in outer life. But modern society has lost this wisdom. Sleep is neglected, sacrificed to work, entertainment, and glowing screens, until many strip themselves of the very chance to be transformed. The result is repetition of the same cycles, the same familiar limits, the same unfinished desires that never take form. Each morning they awaken to the same place as yesterday, carrying the same worries and the same regrets. What must be understood is that the subconscious is ceaseless, tireless, and without discrimination between real and imagined. It simply accepts what is delivered to it with genuine feeling by day. The conscious mind acts like a gatekeeper, always judging, doubting, questioning, blocking many desires from sinking deeper. But as you drift into sleep, the gatekeeper withdraws and the door opens for the subconscious to absorb the final images, the final words you impress upon it. In that instant, you hold the power to rewrite the script of your life. If you fall asleep with fear, you have planted seeds of unrest in fertile soil. If you fall asleep with visions of prosperity, peace, and gratitude, you have sown seeds that will grow into the reality of tomorrow. Modern science confirms this truth. As the brain shifts from beta waves to alpha, then theta and delta, a spatial perceptive state, emerges. In this state, information is received without resistance. Memory is stored with permanence, and emotion is etched into the nervous system. In essence, it is a natural form of meditation requiring no effort. It is here that inventors, scientists, and artists throughout history have discovered solutions or masterpieces they could not grasp in waking hours. History records countless scientific breakthroughs, timeless melodies, and great ideas that first appeared in dreams. This proves sleep is not passive at all, but a powerful creative process. Humanity often ignores. Why then should we waste these 8 golden hours only to wake weary and burdened with yesterday's weight? Sleep must be restored to its rightful place, not only as a biological necessity, but as an act of spiritual creation. Before sleep, the mind is like a freshly tilled field. You may let weeds spring from idle worries, or you may deliberately sow precious seeds of peace, abundance, love, and freedom. That field will not discriminate. It will faithfully grow. Whatever you plant, picture a farmer. He has in his hands fertile soil, water, sunlight, and wind. If he sows rice, the land will grant him golden harvest. If he sows thorns, the land will give him thistles. Your subconscious works the same way, faithful, tireless, never resisting. It reflects only what you entrust to it. And each night, in 8 hours of sleep, you are entrusting it with a vast treasury of images and emotions. The question is, what are you planting? There are those who, before sleep, scroll through their phones, filling themselves with negative news, comparisons, and images of insecurity. They fall asleep in tension and wake in fatigue, never realizing they themselves have turned sleep into a barren field. And there are those who, before closing their eyes, sit in stillness a few minutes, recall 3 things they are grateful for, and whisper simple affirmations that they are at peace, that they are enough. They fall asleep in serenity and awaken with new light. Sleep is both a gift and a responsibility. It offers us each day the chance to begin again, to restructure belief, and to rewrite the script of our lives. To neglect this is to miss the greatest opportunity. Creation has given. What you hold in your heart before sleep becomes the foundation of tomorrow. And tomorrow, repeated, becomes a lifetime. To grasp this truth is the first step to transform sleep from a forgotten tool into the mighty wand of creation in your life. The twilight state of consciousness, there is a fragile moment that few notice, the threshold between waking and sleep. It does not last long, only a few fleeting minutes. Yet in that instant, the inner and outer worlds seem to touch. The ancients called it the sacred gateway, and modern science names it. The twilight state of consciousness, as you lie down, close your eyes, and your breath slows, the hurried rhythms of the day begin to settle. Beta yields to alpha, then to theta, and finally to delta. It is in this transition that your mind becomes like a door left ajar. The waking consciousness, usually playing the role of the gatekeeper, gradually steps aside. Yud menthodus, du kiet. The noise of reason dissolves, and behind that door, the subconscious appears as fertile soil, waiting for seed. If you have ever paid attention, you may recall moments when ideas emerged while you were half awake, not yet fully asleep. A melody arose as un solution, fleshed or image. So vivid appeared, you felt you had lived in it before. This is no accident. The twilight state grants you a hidden passage, a place where creativity flows unfiltered. In that moment, the subconscious does not distinguish between real and imagined. It only receives what you offer, like seeds falling into earth, awaiting rain. If you plant images of peace, prosperity, health, and love, they will root and grow. If you let it drift with worries, anger, or doubt, those too will be nurtured and rise into reality. The important truth is this: in only a few minutes before sleep, you can choose which seeds will enter the subconscious. This is your chance to transform sleep into a creative ritual. You need no tools, no elaborate ceremony, only the presence of your mind and a decisive choice. Each evening, as you close your eyes, you stand between 2 worlds, 1 foot in today's reality, 1 foot in the future you are about to shape. This door opens only once a day. If you do not walk through it consciously, it will close, and tomorrow will look just like today, repeating the same old script. But if you enter with awareness, Every night becomes a journey of unfolding where you plant new images and new emotions and awaken transformed. Perhaps you have felt this in your own life, waking with a strange lightness over the fully formed idea that never appeared the day before. That is the mark of the twilight state, where the subconscious has worked as you release control. So I ask you now, when that door opens tonight, what will you plant a forgotten dream, a delayed desire, or an entirely new image of who you wish to become? Be honest with yourself. And if you are listening, leave some sign of your presence, for your presence itself is proof that your subconscious longs for change. Thank you for walking alongside these words, for only in true presence can seeds take root in the richest soil of the soul. The twilight state of consciousness is a gift the universe grants each of us every night. It is like a suspension bridge between two shores. One shore, the reality already known. The other, the boundless potential of what can be. Every person steps onto that bridge, but only a few recognize and use it. Most cross unconsciously, letting fragments of worry and disappointment fall into the ground and become seed. A smaller number walk across with awareness, bending down to plant seeds of faith, of peace, of success, and by natural law, those seeds will grow and return. The harvest the sower has chosen. This is why the twilight state of consciousness is not merely a neurological phenomenon, but a sacred rite of creation. It reminds you that you are not a victim of the day's events. You are the sower of the night, and you are the harvester of tomorrow. The door will open tonight, and the question never changes. What will you plant in that soil? A living proof through real stories. No truth is more powerful than a living proof drawn from real life. Theory may inspire, but it is the human story with its visible transformation that makes truth undeniable. The subconscious is faithful soil. It grows whatever is planted in it. And many have demonstrated this law through their own lives. Sarah is a clear example. For years, she struggled to find prosperity. She tried every method, from vision boards to long meditations, yet her efforts produced only fleeting results. Deep down, she still carried the limiting belief that wealth was something distant. When she was introduced to the power of the moments before sleep, her approach changed. Each night, as drowsiness came over her, she whispered affirmations of abundance, not as a plea, but as an undeniable fact. She allowed the image of a fulfilled life to enter her mind and felt the joy as if it were already real. 3 months later, opportunities arrived in succession. A client unexpectedly offered her a project, exactly as she had envisioned. An old friend mentioned an investment opportunity that matched her desire. Her financial life began to shift, not through strain, but through the natural magnetism of the seeds she had planted in her subconscious. Maria revealed another dimension. She was a young entrepreneur, full of passion, yet burdened with pressure. Each night she went to bed, carrying worries, unpaid bills, unsigned contracts, unanswered questions. That habit filled her subconscious with scarcity. By day she tried to affirm she was abundant, but by night she sowed seeds of fear. When she understood the fundamental principle, she began to change her bedtime ritual. Instead of carrying burdens with her, she paused and recalled 3 things. She was grateful for a small conversation, a friendly smile, or simply the peace of her own breath. Those few minutes made all the difference. Within weeks, her energy shifted. Clients sensed her calm and confident presence. Relationships became smoother, and opportunities arrived from unexpected places. Gratitude before sleep lifted her out of the frequency of lack and opened the gate to abundance. David offers yet another perspective, proof of the power of concrete action. He was talented, Yet his career remained stagnant. He dreamed of creative, challenging work, but everything seemed frozen when introduced to the technique of writing down intentions and placing them under his pillow. He tried it each night before sleep. He wrote a detailed description of his ideal professional life, feeling the joy and confidence of living it. He placed the paper beneath his pillow as a ritual of commitment. Within weeks, subtle changes appeared. He became more decisive at work, saw opportunities he had once overlooked. Soon new projects opened, professional relationships formed, and the path he had dreamed of began to take shape. His subconscious had received a clear signal from this habit, turning vague desire into a concrete map for action. These stories are not coincidences, but evidence of the law by which the subconscious operates. When you plant images, emotions, and beliefs, at the moment the subconscious door is open, it silently rearranges reality, not through mystical magic, but through shifts in perception, in decision, in the way you interact with the world. What seems like miraculous coincidence is in fact the natural outcome of alignment between the subconscious and the universe. Every night's sleep, if used rightly, is a laboratory in which you program tomorrow. And when stories like Sarah's, Maria's, and David's repeat across countless lives, they confirm that this is not a vague belief, but a truth to be lived and experienced. The sleeping environment, your bedroom is a sanctuary. There is a truth few recognize, that the space you sleep in each night does not merely hold your body. It shapes the energy you carry into your dreams. A bedroom is not just a place to lay your head, but a silent temple where the subconscious receives even the smallest signals from the environment around you. The color of the walls, the light, the objects, even the pictures hanging above, all whisper invisible messages. The subconscious does not overlook them. It records everything, even when you are unaware, and throughout 8 hours of sleep, it processes those messages like a silent soundtrack beneath a film. If that soundtrack is heavy with sorrow, your dreams will be painted in dim shades. If the soundtrack is pure and gentle, sleep itself becomes a creative ritual. Many wonder why, despite practicing every technique, their results remain faint. Often the cause is not within the mind, but within the very room in which they sleep. One woman once shared how she faithfully programmed her subconscious every night, yet her life remained unchanged. When her mentor visited, he found her bedroom filled with relics of a broken relationship, sorrowful photographs, books steeped in failure and lack. The room had become a museum of painful memories, and each night her subconscious was drowned in those signals. When she decided to clear the space, to remove the old images, to introduce brighter colors and symbols of abundance and peace, the atmosphere shifted, and her dreams shifted too, bringing her a new beginning. The bedroom is a sanctuary, for it is where you entrust your body to rest and your subconscious to creation. Such a space deserves reverence. Imagine walking into a temple. You would not want to see garbage, dust, or symbols of despair. You would want freshness, soft light, images that awaken faith and serenity. Your bedroom is no different. It should mirror the life you are moving toward, not echo the memories you have left behind. So tonight, when you step into your bedroom, what will you see? A place clean and bright, where every item stirs peace, or a space burdened with past worry and defeat? This question matters, for the answer reveals what seeds you are planting into your subconscious each night. I ask you now, are you ready to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary of creation and peace? If you truly are, leave a comment below. Simply write, "I am ready to change," or type the number 1 so I may know you are present and walking this path. Thank you, for your presence itself is proof that you have begun a new journey, the journey of a conscious sower, no longer leaving the soil to weeds. Every detail in the room is a signal. A gentle blue suggests calm, violet stirs spiritual connection. The scent of lavender guides the mind into receptivity. Even a small stone, a picture symbolizing your desire, becomes a pillar of energy. These are not superstition, but your way of speaking to the subconscious in the language of symbols. And the subconscious always understands this language. It is time to look at your bedroom with new eyes. Do not see it as a temporary shelter, but as a sanctuary where each night you enter into a sacred ritual to create tomorrow. When the room carries pure energy, the subconscious is uplifted and sleep becomes a complete creative journey. When the room is polluted by old images, the subconscious is pulled back into the past, and tomorrow becomes nothing more than yesterday, repeated. The choice is yours, beginning tonight. The mirror ritual and the rebuilding of self-image. No wall imprisons a person more tightly than the one they build within their own mind about themselves. Every effort to change life will remain fragile if the inner image is not renewed. The subconscious is ever faithful to the portrait you hang within. If that portrait shows weakness, failure, and lack, then no matter how hard you strive outwardly, life will bend back to the old pattern. That is why, before planting any other seeds, one must restore the image of the self. And among the oldest yet most powerful practices for this purpose is the mirror ritual. The mirror ritual is not simply looking into a glass, but confronting the self at the deepest level. A gentle light, a small candle, or a quiet space transforms the mirror into a doorway. When you stand before it at night, meeting, there is no room for disguise. You cannot deceive the mirror, for it reflects only what dwells in your heart. In that very moment, you hold the chance to change the dialogue within. Instead of letting critical voices rise, you can speak to yourself with compassion and respect. A successful entrepreneur once confessed that though he had everything outwardly, inside he still heard the voices of the past saying he was unworthy, that his success was nothing but fleeting luck. He began to try the mirror ritual each night. Before sleep, he looked into his own eyes and spoke a short, simple but weighty phrase, "I honor my own efforts." Asterisk. At first the words felt awkward, but he persisted. Gradually, a shift took place. The harsh voice within softened, replaced by a quiet acknowledgement. Not long after, he noticed his very presence had changed. His decisions grew clearer, and those around him felt a new steadiness radiating from him. This happens because the subconscious does not distinguish whether the voice comes from criticism or from love. It only absorbs the sounds repeated with feeling. When you continually sow empathy and acknowledgement, it reconstructs the inner portrait into one of worthiness, dignity, and confidence. Once that inner portrait changes, the outer world can do nothing but mirror it back. The mirror ritual is like wiping the dust from an ancient glass. Over the years, the mirror of the soul becomes covered by judgments, failures, and cruel comparisons. You look into it and see only distortion, but when you begin the ritual sincerely, you slowly sweep the dust away. One day, you behold your true face again, not the one painted by fear and criticism, but the face of a soul worthy of love, respect, and radiance. Some may doubt that a few sentences before a mirror could alter an entire life. But the power lies not in the words alone, but in the spirit you bring when your eyes meet your own in the glass. Pretense dissolves, and you must be honest. That honesty becomes the foundation for the words to penetrate the subconscious. From there, a chain of inner responses begins like a seed finding fertile ground. Once the self-image is rebuilt, every other realm of life shifts. You enter relationships with self-respect instead of a craving to prove. You face challenges with faith rather than doubt. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. The power of the mirror ritual lies not in its outward simplicity, but in its quiet and lasting transformation of the subconscious. It alters the very ground upon which all thoughts and actions are built. In the journey of turning sleep into a tool of creation, the mirror ritual is a turning point. It not only prepares the mind to receive new seeds, but changes the soil itself. A field once barren through criticism becomes fertile through love. And when that soil is ready, every seed you sow has the chance to sprout, to blossom, and to bear fruit. Sound and the frequency of vibration. Sound is the invisible bridge between consciousness and the subconscious. When the eyes are closed and the outer world grows silent, the ears remain open, like doors that never shut. The subconscious receives every frequency, every whisper, weaving them into the inner tapestry of the mind. For this reason, sound becomes a subtle yet powerful instrument for reshaping the inner image of a person. The ancients knew this power using chants, drum beats, and resonant tones to alter states of spirit. Modern science now confirms that the brain can synchronize with sound frequencies, shifting brain waves and opening the gateway to deeper receptivity. When a sound arises, it does not enter only through the ears. It touches every cell. Its frequency resonates through bones, through blood, through breath. Some frequencies strain the body, others melt the mind into peace. The 528 Hertz tone is often called the frequency of healing, recalling the harmony of DNA, restoring the natural rhythm of body and soul. The 432 Hertz frequency is regarded as the rhythm of the universe, present in planetary orbits, in the human heartbeat, in the spirals of nature. When people immerse themselves in these tones, they are not merely listening, they are remembering balance that has always been within, yet no sound strikes deeper than your own voice. The subconscious recognizes its vibration as a unique imprint. This is the power of the voice within, not just a sound you hear, but a space you return to when you use your own voice to affirm, to whisper words of love, or to declare your decides. The subconscious accepts it with a trust beyond any other sound. It ceases to be external, becoming instead an echo from within, carrying you back to the primal space of your true self. There was a man who lived many years haunted by self-doubt. He tried countless methods, yet the inner voice of criticism remained. The turning point came when he began recording himself speaking simple affirmations. I trust my own decisions. I am valuable. I am worthy. Each evening, as sleep approached, he let those words play. At first they sounded forced, but after weeks the familiar tone of his own voice seeped into his subconscious, gradually replacing the voice of reproach. One day, he found himself standing before a crowd without trembling. His very voice had become the bridge carrying him from fear to confidence. Sound can also unlock the creative gate of dreams. When gentle frequencies fill the room, they steady the heartbeat, soothe the nerves, and open space for the subconscious to work. Dreams then become the loom where the subconscious weaves new scenarios, imprinting them as real experience. To the subconscious, what is heard and felt is no different from what is lived. A soft melody can transform a bedroom into sanctuary, where each rhythm is a wave carrying seeds of creation deep into the inner soil. Sound is a double-edged blade. On one side lies noise and chaos, wearying the mind, sowing tension and anxiety into the subconscious. On the other side lies pure, intentional sound, planting peace and faith. Each person holds the power to choose which sound will accompany them on their inner journey. Choose wrongly, and you nourish disorder. Choose rightly, and you open the path of peace. In the art of programming the subconscious, sound does not stand alone. It lifts the images you sow. It resonates with the emotions you carry. It awakens dormant memories in every cell. Together they form a symphony, guiding the subconscious into its deepest receptivity. It is like a silent ritual in which you are at once the singer, the listener, and the one transformed. Imagine each night before sleep, the room dim and still, a gentle fragrance in the air, and your own voice rising in the quiet, calm and steady, like a guide leading your subconscious into dream. In that moment, you are no longer drifting in randomness, but deliberately composing the music of your life. And when dawn comes, that sound still echoes, serving as the foundation for every choice and every act. This is the quiet yet enduring power of sound and the frequency of vibration, asking questions of the subconscious. The subconscious is like a vast treasure house, storing every memory, every experience, every observation, no matter how small. It is the silent witness of life, recording every glance, every word, every fragment of information overlooked by the conscious mind. Yet this treasure does not open by itself. It reveals its wealth only when you know how and when to ask. Just before sleep, as consciousness relaxes, that is the opportune moment to send your questions. In that state, the subconscious accepts them as commands, and throughout the night it works tirelessly, connecting fragments, assembling patterns, and bringing forth solutions your waking mind could never reach. A young entrepreneur once faced a crucial decision about expanding his business abroad. He had analyzed the data, consulted experts, yet the more he examined, the more confused he became. Every number felt like a misplaced puzzle piece, leading nowhere. In his frustration, he learned to release a question into the subconscious before sleep. That night he whispered gently, "Show me the right direction for my work." Asterisk. Then he let go, making no effort to force an answer, surrendering to sleep. By morning, a clear sense arose. A fresh thought emerged, guiding him to a choice that later proved to be correct. It was no random miracle, but the power of the subconscious once given a task in the right way. The key lies in the attitude with which you ask. The subconscious does not respond to strain or demand. It opens to trust and release. If you ask with anxiety, you only sow more chaos. But if you ask as though placing a seed into soil and then wait patiently, the subconscious will nurture it and deliver the result at the right time. That surrender creates the condition for deep intelligence to work free from the interference of reasoning noise. Questions for the subconscious need not be long, but they must be clear and sincere. You may ask, how can I expand my creative capacity? What path will lead me to peace and prosperity? What must I do to heal this relationship? Asterisk, each question is like a stone cast into a still pond. At first it makes only ripples, but those ripples spread outward, connect, and in time, the answer appears through a dream, through sudden intuition, or in a sign encountered the next day. Remember, the subconscious does not think in linear logic as the conscious mind does. It does not reply with arguments, but with images, symbols, intuition, That is why many answers come in dreams, appearing as strange visions or symbolic scenes, a door opening, a path revealed, a figure arriving. This is the language of the subconscious. Your task is to listen and interpret. To ask the subconscious a question before sleep is like consulting a wise teacher who has always been with you. This teacher never lies, never abandons, but speaks only when you bow and ask in humility. Each night you may turn to this teacher without searching outside, only by turning within. And as this becomes habit, your life begins to change. For you no longer face challenges alone. You have within you an inexhaustible intelligence, ready to guide if only you ask. Questions are not merely for solving present problems, but for directing life itself. When you ask, who do I truly wish to become? Why was I born? Asterisk, the subconscious begins to unfold new visions. At first they may appear as vague feelings, a gentle urge, an unusual curiosity, but over time they grow clearer, mapping the path of your destiny. Asking questions of the subconscious is an art where simplicity meets power. A single sincere question can alter the course of a life if you are patient enough to listen. And when you practice this consistently, you will awaken to a profound truth. Within you there has always been a silent wisdom, waiting to be trusted, waiting to be called upon, waiting to be asked. Lucid dreaming, the dream of awareness. In daily life you often let waking consciousness take the lead, but in dreams that role is replaced. Normally you drift through vague scenes, uncontrolled, unable to distinguish truth from illusion. Yet there exists a remarkable phenomenon called lucid dreaming, when you realize you are dreaming, and from that moment you can participate, shape, and experience the dream at will. This is not merely a trick of the mind, but a doorway into boundless creativity, where every idea and every image may become reality instantly. In the state of lucid dreaming, the boundary between thought and experience dissolves. If you imagine yourself on a stage, the nervous thrill and the applause will arrive as real as waking life. If you choose to soar into the sky, your body will rise lightly from the ground. The subconscious does not question. It transforms thought into image, desire into experience, and these experiences imprint themselves upon the nervous system as genuine memories. Thus, lucid dreaming becomes a profound instrument of training and healing. One woman once carried a deep fear of public speaking, rooted in painful memories of humiliation that left her trembling whenever she faced others. She learned to enter lucid dreams and began practicing there. In her dreams, she stood on stage, spoke with perfect confidence, heard the roar of applause, and felt excitement flood her body. After many nights of repetition, her nervous system grew accustomed to memories of success rather than fear, returning to waking life. She found herself transformed, able to face audiences without trembling. Lucid dreaming is not only for overcoming fear, it is a realm of pure creativity, where the limits of physics and logic fall away. An artist may enter a lucid dream and paint magnificent visions, bringing that inspiration back to the waking canvas. A scientist may discover solutions to difficult problems by letting the subconscious deliver answers in dream. Many great inventions and masterpieces have appeared this way, proving that lucid dreaming is a doorway into an inexhaustible treasury of creation. But to step into lucid dreaming requires practice. It does not come by accident, but through preparation. Recording dreams each morning sharpens awareness of the inner world. Practicing mindfulness during the day that you are awake, that you are present, makes it easier to recognize when you are dreaming. Most importantly, sow a clear intention before sleep, affirming that you will recognize the dream that you will remain aware within it. This intention becomes a thread guiding you through the night. Lucid dreaming also points to a deeper truth. The waking world you inhabit operates in much the same way. It is a collective dream where thoughts, beliefs, and emotions take shape as events and circumstances. To master the dream of the night is to learn mastery of the greater dream of life. Both follow the same principle that thought shapes reality. In lucid dreams, you are free to try, to fail, to recreate without fear of consequence. You may cross boundaries, rehearse skills, build positive memories that waking hours have not yet allowed. And once those memories are engraved into the subconscious, you carry them into life as if they had already occurred. Lucid dreaming is not merely a fascinating experience, but a tool to awaken inner power. It teaches that the line between real and dream is but a thin veil, that the subconscious can make every possibility real. When you awaken within a dream, you also learn to awaken within life itself, to see that reality too is a dream you are fully capable of shaping. Insomnia is a message of transformation. Each night when darkness falls, most long for sleep as a remedy of renewal. Yet there are nights when, though the body is weary, the mind remains restless, turning endlessly, unable to find rest. Many treat this as an enemy, a nuisance to be subdued with pills or sheer force. But in truth, insomnia is often not an enemy at all, but a message. It is the quiet knock of the subconscious reminding you that something within longs to be recognized and released. By day, the conscious mind is absorbed with work, responsibility, and endless distractions, suppressing emotions and beliefs that go unheard. But at night, when the noise of the world subsides, those deeper layers rise, demanding attention. If you resist, they manifest as a tension that drives sleep away. But if you sit quietly and face the wakefulness, you will see it not as an accident, but as a cleansing. The subconscious is stripping away old bindings, shining light on beliefs long outdated, preparing you to step into a new stage of life. A man once endured months of sleepless nights during the early days of his business venture. At first, he thought it was the pressure of work, but when he learned to listen, he discovered buried fears of failure and memories of harsh criticism. Those nights of insomnia became opportunities for him to sit down, write out every fear and memory, and release them. As he dared to confront them, the insomnia faded, replaced by a new clarity in his work. Without those nights, he might have remained captive to unseen beliefs. Insomnia is the subtle mechanism of consciousness calling you back to yourself. It says the time has come to clear the dark rooms of your soul, to dismantle the old barriers, and prepare for the new step ahead. Just as the earth trembles before a change of season, so the mind sometimes quivers in unrest before entering a new cycle of life. Seen from another angle, insomnia is not collapse, but reconstruction. When the body is tired, it demands rest. When the soul cannot sleep, it demands to be heard. And in that listening, wisdom appears. Many recount that their most creative ideas, their clearest decisions, have come on nights of sleeplessness. That is when the subconscious refuses to be silenced, rising to speak directly with you. Insomnia also teaches the lesson of surrender. The harder you force sleep, the further it slips away. But when you accept it, when you sit still and whisper, I am ready to hear what longs to be spoken, asterisk, the mind begins to soften. That openness dissolves resistance, and sleep often arrives naturally once the message has been received. Instead of fighting insomnia, Transform it into a ritual. Keep a journal beside your bed. If night falls and your eyes remain wide open, write what flows through your mind. It may be a fear, a memory, or a dream you have never dared to admit. By writing it, you release energy, turning chaos into order. Gradually, you will see peace return, not because you forced it, but because you embraced and dissolved what had been hidden in the journey of transformation. No experience is meaningless. Even sleepless nights may be turning points if you understand them as signals of inner change. Remember, the darkest night often heralds the dawn. And perhaps those very nights when you could not sleep were the nights your soul was rewriting a new chapter of your life. The lunar cycle and the rhythm of the cosmos, the universe never moves in randomness. Every motion, from the beat of a heart to the orbit of the stars, follows a hidden order within these cycles. The moon is a silent teacher, shaping the seasons and even the rhythm of human consciousness. Since ancient times, sages have watched the moon's light. To understand life, they knew that with the waxing and waning of the moon, energy within human beings also shifts, and the subconscious opens different doors. On moonless nights, the sky is a dark veil, but in that very darkness lies the richest soil for planting seeds. Without light, the mind turns inward, listening to its most secret whispers. Intentions set in this phase are like seeds buried in earth, unseen, yet already alive with growth. The new moon is the beginning, the point of origin for every fresh desire. By contrast, the full moon, radiant and unrestrained, is the time when energy reaches its height. When intentions blossom and seeds sprout, it is the moment for expansion, for expression, for harvest. When you live by the rhythm of the moon, you no longer feel at odds with the universe, but in harmony with it. On new moon nights, you may write your desires and place them under your pillow, letting the subconscious work in the darkness. On full moon nights, you reflect on what has sprouted, feel the surge of energy, and choose how to extend your presence in life. Each cycle is like the universe breathing. Inhalation is the new moon, exhalation the full moon, and in between are moments of adjustment and rebalancing. One woman, struggling through a difficult stage in business, began aligning her subconscious practices with the lunar cycle. She chose the new moon to write her intentions and the full moon to practice gratitude for what had already come. Within months, she discovered an extraordinary peace. She no longer rushed or forced. She felt as though she were rowing with the current. Opportunities came in their own time. Relationships softened, and her creativity flowed unceasingly. Modern science, too, is beginning to affirm these influences. Hormone levels, biological rhythms. Even human sleep patterns fluctuate with the lunar cycle. Though the conscious mind may forget, the body and subconscious remember. And when people use this cycle as a tool, they not only align with nature's law, but harness the periods when the subconscious is most sensitive for planting the seeds of tomorrow. In this vast design, every sound and every whisper you release into the dark becomes significant. On the night of the new moon, when you whisper affirmations, they fall like seeds into the darkness of the sky, carried by heaven and earth to germinate. And when the moon is full, let those words ring like a bell, spreading into the space around you. This is the power of voice within, not merely a sound you hear, but a space you return to. It is not just the voice you speak, but the source you come home to, where your breath aligns with the breath of the cosmos. The lunar cycle teaches a vital lesson. Not every moment is for action, nor is every moment for rest. There is a time to plant, a time to wait, a time to bloom, and a time to release. When you understand this, You free yourself from the strain of doing all at once. You learn patience. You learn to trust the rhythm greater than yourself. And as you walk in that rhythm, you find you are no longer lost, but part of an eternal symphony. Step once beyond the city, stand beneath the night sky, and see the moon as an ancient friend. Listen in silence, and you will find your heartbeat in tune with the universe. Then each night's sleep becomes more than rest. It becomes a ritual of harmony with the creative power of the cosmos itself. Environmental energy and crystals, every space carries an invisible field of energy. And whether aware or not, people are always influenced by it. The subconscious is like a sensitive receiver, constantly reading and recording signals from its surroundings. Objects, colors, images, even an old book radiate their own vibrations and impress themselves upon the mind while you sleep. A cluttered room filled with sad memories is like an invisible wall holding you captive in the past. In contrast, a space that is purified, simple, and harmonious opens lightness and support, allowing the subconscious to more easily accept new seeds. Imagine a bedroom where every object is placed with intention, soft lighting, warm colors, decorations rich with positive meaning. In such a space, sleep is no longer mere rest, but a ritual. The subconscious, sinking into stillness, begins to absorb these subtle signals. A picture of a sunrise plants in you the hope of a new beginning, a vase of fresh flowers, whispers of life and renewal. Every detail murmurs, I support you. I remind you of abundance and light across cultures. Crystals have long been companions of sleep. Their flawless molecular structures allow them to resonate with human energy. Clear quartz is seen as an amplifier, sharpening and magnifying the intention you set. Amethyst, with its gentle violet hue, is often used to expand intuition and bring deep rest. Citrine, golden and radiant, is considered a symbol of prosperity and joy. When placed in a bedroom, crystals act like antennae, broadcasting and magnifying the messages you impress upon the subconscious, keeping the energy of the space pure. A young woman once tried this method when she felt stuck in her work. She chose a small, clear quartz stone, and each night before sleep she placed her hand on it, whispering her intention to find clarity and direction in her career. She did not beg. She simply trusted, then placed the stone beneath her pillow. Within weeks, her mind grew clearer, her dreams filled with symbolic guidance, and gradually she discovered her right path. The crystal itself did not create magic, but the union of intention, resonance, and belief formed a new field of energy for the subconscious. Modern science explains that crystals have piezoelectric qualities, able to generate charge under pressure. This allows them to interact with surrounding electromagnetic fields, including the energy field of the human body beyond physics. Crystals act as symbols. When you see clear quartz shimmering, your mind associates it with purity and transparency. When you touch golden citrine, you think of warmth and abundance. These associations plant powerful signals into the subconscious, which then transforms them into lived experience. Environmental energy is not only in objects, but also in the way you care for your space. A dusty room cluttered with unused things sends signals of stagnation. Yet the simple act of cleaning, arranging, opening windows to let light and air stream in immediately changes the energy. The subconscious senses this even in sleep, and you find your rest deeper, your dreams brighter. Cleansing space is the first step to cleansing the mind. In the art of programming the subconscious through sleep, working with environmental energy and crystals is like preparing the soil. You cannot plant seeds in barren, stony ground and expect a harvest. You must clear, soften the earth, place precious stones as anchors, and then sow seeds with clear intention. The subconscious will receive, nurture it, and deliver a new season of growth. Remember, the outer environment and the inner world always reflect one another. When you honor your space, when you choose objects that symbolize light, prosperity, and peace, the subconscious responds with experiences to match, and as night after night you sleep in a room treated as a sanctuary of creation, you will see your life gradually transform, not by magic from outside, but by the deep resonance between your soul and the energy of the universe, transforming emotions into creative energy. Every emotion within a human being is like a current of electricity, carrying its own energy. Joy expands the mind. Fear sharpens the body's alertness. Anger flies like fire, while sorrow flows downward like a heavy stream. Normally, we divide emotions into positive and negative, seeking to keep the one and reject the other. But the subconscious does not distinguish this way. It sees only energy. Every feeling, whether light or dark, can become fuel if you know how to transform it. And sleep is the golden moment to transmute what once felt heavy into new creative power. Imagine you have gone through a day of tension, carrying a sky of gloom into the night. If you sleep in that state, the subconscious will store the heavy energy and replay it tomorrow. But if you sit down, close your eyes, and allow yourself to feel the emotion fully, without resistance, without banishment, you grant the subconscious the chance to transform it. You may whisper within, "This is energy. I am ready to use it to build something new." Asterisk. At that point, sleep becomes a laboratory where emotion is refined, like fire melting metal to be forged into new form. A woman who had faced bitter failure in her work once applied this principle. Instead of rushing to forget, she allowed herself to live fully with the pain. Then before sleep, she channeled all the energy of disappointment into a new vision, that she would use it to create a new project. Each night she repeated this ritual, letting her emotions flow into the subconscious like a river changing course. The result was that within months, from the soil of failure, she gave birth to new work infused with determination and creativity stronger than ever before. When transformed, emotions cease to be burdens and become drive. Anger can turn into determination never to quit. Fear can transform into vigilance, urging you to prepare carefully. Sorrow can deepen into richness that gives your art the power to move hearts. The subconscious does not need you to deny anything. It only needs you to guide that energy into its right channel. In this process, the most important element is your attitude toward emotion. If you treat them as enemies, you will be trapped. But if you treat them as messengers, you will uncover their hidden message. Behind fear may lie the need for protection. Behind anger may lie the longing for respect. Behind sorrow may be an invitation to return to healing. When you understand the message, emotion ceases its resistance and becomes your ally. So let me ask you, now, are you carrying a powerful emotion you have long tried to escape? If so, try to look at it differently, not as an obstacle, but as energy. Share it if you wish, or at least admit it to yourself. For the moment you acknowledge it, transformation has begun. I thank you for being here, for listening and opening with this story, for your very presence gives the deepest truths a chance to be spoken. When you enter sleep with acceptance, the subconscious does its work in wondrous ways. It recycles pain into lessons, transforms disappointment into strength, reshapes chaos into order. By morning you awaken lighter, clearer, as though some of the night's darkness had turned into light. And night after night, every emotion becomes fuel, for building your new reality. Transforming emotion into creative energy is not a complicated technique, but a way of life. When you stop running and begin cooperating with emotion, you find you are no longer pulled backward, but propelled forward. And in the process, you discover a vital truth that within you, strength has never been absent. It has only been hidden in forms you had not yet learned to accept. Connecting with ancestral wisdom in the veins of every human flows not only the blood of present life, but also the memory of countless generations before. Every fear, every longing, every lesson accumulated through centuries is still imprinted in the deep layers of the subconscious. Science calls it heredity. The imprint of genes, spiritual traditions call it ancestral wisdom. When we enter sleep, the boundary between the individual and the ancestral stream grows thin, and if we know how to open, we can touch this vast treasury. There are fears you carry without knowing why they cling so strongly. Someone who has never known poverty yet lives with constant anxiety about money. Someone who's never been betrayed yet harbors deep insecurity in relationships. These may not be your memories, but echoes from parents, grandparents, ancestors who lived through crisis, war, deprivation. The subconscious stores them all, and in sleep these memories rise to be healed. A woman once felt blocked in earning money. She could not find the cause in her own life. So she began practicing connection with ancestral wisdom through dreams. Each night she whispered silently, show me what in my lineage has caused this fear of money. In her dreams, her grandmother appeared, telling stories of the Depression, when each meal was a battle. She realized the fear was not hers alone, but the inheritance of an entire generation. From then on, she practiced sending gratitude to the past while planting in her subconscious new images of abundance. Change came gradually but surely, for she had cut the invisible thread tying her to scarcity. Connecting with ancestral wisdom is not only for healing, but for receiving strength. In every family, there are those who once carried talent, wisdom, and extraordinary resilience. Some built legacies. Others were simple mothers and fathers who endured storms to nourish their families. That strength has not vanished. It remains in the living current of energy. When you close your eyes at night and ask to connect, you may draw courage, clarity, or talent once embodied by your ancestors. A young man building his business often lacked confidence. In sleep, he began to connect with the image of his great-grandfather, an inventor. He imagined conversing, receiving counsel from the past. After many nights, he felt a new courage rising, as though a stream of blood within him had awakened. Creative ideas surged. His decisions grew firm, and he sensed clearly an unseen hand guiding him. Ancestral wisdom exists not to bind you to the past, but to point toward your future. In sleep, the subconscious opens like a door into a vast space where personal memory merges with lineage memory. There you may discern the old patterns that must be released and welcome the noble qualities handed down. This is deep healing and also the way to walk more firmly, knowing behind you flows an entire river of support. Learning to connect with ancestral wisdom not only transforms your own life, but also alters your lineage. What you heal will not repeat in the next generation. What you awaken becomes new spiritual wealth for your children. You are both heir and creator of the legacy. Each sleep becomes a silent ritual, a dialogue with the past to build the future. To connect with ancestral wisdom is a sacred journey. It reveals that you are never alone. In the long nights, the stream of those before you walks beside you, offering fears that need release and strength that needs renewal. When you open to this, you will find sleep is not just rest. but a gateway into the eternal dialogue between generations where past and present blend to create a new future. Accessing collective wisdom in the unseen world flows a river of knowledge passing through every generation, where every discovery, every experience, every act of creation by humanity is preserved. The sages called it the collective field. Psychologists named it the collective unconscious, and modern science describes it as an all-encompassing field of information. In waking life, each person can touch only a fraction of this river, but in sleep, when the boundaries of the ego loosen, the subconscious can open and immerse itself in that infinite ocean. How many times have you awoken from a dream carrying a strange creative idea, a solution you had never considered, or a powerful image you never learned from anywhere? That is no accident. It is the sign that in sleep your consciousness had touched the treasury of collective wisdom and returned with pearls to plant in waking life. When the mind ceases its analysis, it becomes like an antenna receiving frequencies of knowledge beyond the personal self. There was once a young man building his company who constantly felt a lack of foundation. Each night before sleep, he whispered, "Grant me access to the wisdom of those creators who came before me." Asterisk, for many nights, he dreamed of conversing with strangers who were deeply wise, and upon waking, he wrote down every idea. Those ideas became the strategies that propelled his business forward. He realized these were not his alone, but gifts from the current of collective knowledge. Accessing collective wisdom is not a vague act, but a connection that follows laws. The human mind is like an instrument needing to be tuned to the right frequency. When you enter sleep with humility and openness, you blend into the great harmony of humanity. Every experience, every creation of humankind from the beginning until now exists there like notes in a symphony. You need only listen with the heart, and the subconscious will choose what is right for you. In those moments, the voice you whisper before sleep becomes the bridge. This is the power of the voice within, not just a sound you hear, but a place you return to. That sound carries you back to the primal space of wisdom, where the small self dissolves, leaving only resonance with the whole. In that resonance, you cease to be a seeker of knowledge. You become part of the very source of knowledge itself. Modern science has begun to uncover this mystery through studies of information fields and brainwave synchronization. Researchers observe that when people focus together on one idea, their brain frequencies can resonate as though all were linked in an unseen network. If such resonance is possible in waking life, then in sleep, when the ego is quiet, the connection is far deeper. Think of collective wisdom as an infinite library where every book has already been written. When you enter sleep with sincerity, you are asking permission to open that library and read the few pages most needed for your path. Every idea that greets you in the morning is not only the fruit of your personal subconscious, but an answer from the storehouse of humanity. Yet with access comes responsibility, for when you receive knowledge, it is not only for yourself. You are to bring it back into the world, to add one more drop to the great river. What you receive becomes what you give, and so the river of wisdom grows richer. In sleep, you are never alone. You are part of the unbroken dialogue of humanity, where all thoughts converge and all souls learn together. It is a humble and sacred journey, reminding you that you are not a solitary being, but a note in the eternal symphony of humankind. And each night, as you close your eyes, you are given another chance to enter that music, to be uplifted, illuminated, and to take your place as a co-creator in the orchestra of the universe, reframing memory and rewriting the story. In the human mind, memories are not immovable stones, but soft fields that can be plowed and replanted. The subconscious does not store the past as a locked film, but as a book whose pages can be revised. Every memory, especially the painful ones, exists not only as an event, but as an emotion, and it is the emotion that determines how the past continues to shape the present. If the emotion remains trapped in fear or shame, the memory acts like an anchor pulling you backward. But if the emotion is reframed with compassion and gratitude, that same memory becomes a stepping stone toward growth. In sleep, especially in the twilight state of dreaming, old memories loosen and become pliable. This is the time when you can rewrite the story, not by denying what happened, but by changing the meaning attached to it. A past failure can be seen as a necessary beginning. A broken relationship can be recalled as a lesson that widened your heart. A wound can become the foundation of compassion. Reframing memory does not erase truth, but gives it a new light. A woman once carried deep shame over a failed business. For years, that memory made her hesitate with new decisions. But when she practiced reframing before sleep, she reimagined the story. This time, instead of seeing herself as a loser, she saw herself as a student in training, learning the lessons required for maturity. Slowly, shame gave way to gratitude. From that point, her next steps were infused with confidence. The subconscious is the soil where memory and emotion intertwine, and it does not distinguish between real and imagined events. When you visualize a memory in a new way, the subconscious receives it as present truth. Neural pathways, once bound to pain, reconnect with peace. Or team, you no longer react from the old pattern, but act from the new state. This is the profound power of rewriting the story within. The key is honesty. You do not pretend the past was painless, but you decide not to grant it endless power. Instead of allowing memory to be a prison, you transform it into a lamp. This attitude ensures that reframing is lasting. Reframing memory can also heal the relationship with yourself. Many still carry inner blame for past decisions. Before sleep, if you reimagine that moment and, instead of criticism, speak forgiveness to yourself, the subconscious will store a new version. You are no longer the guilty figure in your own story, but a soul learning and maturing through experience in the flow of life. The past is never fixed. It lives in how you recall it, in the story you tell yourself. Each night, as sleep arrives, you are given the chance to edit that story like an author adding new chapters. You too can redirect your life narrative with the pen of awareness. Picture every old memory as a room. Some are dark, some covered in dust. Entering dreams, you can open the window, sweep the floor, light a candle, fresh air and light pour in, transforming gloom into peace. The past remains unchanged, yet your experience of it is transfigured. Rewriting the story is reclaiming authorship. If you do nothing, old memories will continue writing your future, but when you take up the pen, you may choose a different ending, a different lesson, a different meaning. From that moment, you live in a present no longer bound by invisible strings of the past. In the inner journey, reframing memory is the key to freedom. It allows you to cease being the victim of the old story and become the author of a new one. Each night before sleep, you may choose a memory that has haunted you, look at it with new eyes, and rewrite it with love and wisdom. As you repeat this ritual, you awaken lighter, freer, and stronger in creativity. The past cannot be erased, but the way we live with it can be transformed, and sleep, in its stillness and openness, is the bridge to enter the archive of memory, to revise and rebuild it in new light. This is the path of liberation and the path of creation, where you turn pain into power and continue your life as a symphony of rebirth, integration, awakening to the infinite nature. There comes a moment on the journey when every technique, every method, every ritual you have practiced falls silent, not because they are useless, but because they have led you to the threshold of a deeper discovery. When you integrate every experience, you begin to see clearly that sleep is not merely a tool, the subconscious not merely a field for planting seeds, emotions not merely fuel, and memory not merely pages to be rewritten. All of these are pathways pointing you back to a single truth, that your true nature has always been infinite. In the quiet of night, when the mind releases its burdens, a clear stream of awareness arises. It is consciousness beyond memory, beyond programming, beyond the image you carry. In that place, you realize you are not only the dreamer, nor only the dream, but the space in which both dream and dreamer appear. You are not a grain of sand drifting in the cosmic river. You are the river flowing. You are not a fragile body searching for safety. You are the endless life force clothing itself in form to experience itself. Integration means no longer dividing. Every emotion once labeled negative is now seen as energy. Every painful memory becomes a step of growth. Every dream, symbol, and synchronicity is recognized as a message of the same source. There is no longer inside or outside, self or world, only one reality, observing and expressing itself. Some spend a lifetime seeking the perfect method to program the subconscious, to alterfate, but as they go deeper, they discover the infinite nature requires no programming, for it is the foundation of every program. You do not need to control the universe when you are the universe. You do not need to strive to become someone when you already are all things. This is not abstract philosophy. It is a living experience that can dawn in the stillness of sleep or in the silence of the heart. When you awaken to your infinite nature, you see life through different eyes. Success is no longer proof to be earned, nor failure an end. Every experience is simply a wave upon the ocean. The wave may rise, the wave may fall, but the ocean is never lost. You are that ocean, boundless and eternal. From this realization, a great freedom arises, freedom to live without fear, to love without demand, to create without worry. In this state of integration, every practice you once used does not disappear, but becomes natural. You may still use breath, imagery, or voice, but now they are no longer efforts. They are the effortless flow of your essence. You know that every whisper you send into the night is the infinite reminding itself. You know that every dream you dream is the infinite weaving stories for its own delight. Only to awaken and recognize itself once more, this integration also transforms how you see sleep. It is not only rest, nor merely an opportunity to plant seeds. It becomes a sacred ritual where the small self dissolves and you return to pure being. Each night, as you lay your head upon the pillow, you may whisper, "I release all to return to source, asterisk," and each morning you rise with the certainty that you live as the expression of the infinite. The wonder is that as you realize your infinite nature, the outer world begins to change, not because you impose it, but because the energy of freedom and wholeness radiates everywhere. You enter a room and the atmosphere lightens. You speak and others feel uplifted. You touch your work and it is infused with life. This is creation at its highest, not through strategy, but through being. Integration is not a destination, but a way of living. It reminds you that though storms may rage today, you are still the sky. Though dreams may challenge you tonight, you are still the luminous awareness that witnesses. In that witnessing, nothing can bind you. You are, and always will be, infinite. When all the fragments of the journey are gathered into one, you see, you were never lacking. Every tool, every lesson, every experience was but a mirror pointing you back to yourself. And in the moment you realize it, you see you have been there all along wholeness. Light, source. This is the ultimate integration and the invitation to live each day as a living testimony to your infinite nature. You have journeyed through 16 gateways of inner transformation, from the hidden power of sleep to the sacred twilight state, to the wisdom of your ancestors and the collective mind, until reaching the ultimate recognition. You are not just the dreamer, nor the dream, but the boundless consciousness in which all dreams appear every night. You are offered a chance not only to rest, but to recreate yourself and your world. From this moment forward, may you fall asleep not as a seeker, but as a creator. And when you awaken each morning, awaken as the living proof of the infinite power within you.